Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram Ram, Krishna Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, 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 Krishna Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Vasari. Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. How are you?
Dandavat Prabhu.
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji,
చెప్పండి
ఈరోజు మేనేజ్ చేస్తారా ప్రభు?
ఏం బాబు
ఈరోజు కాల్ రన్ చేస్తారా ప్రభు?
ఓకే బాబు చేస్తాను
మీకు
ప్రస్తుతానికి మొబైల్లో ఉన్నాను బాబు 8 o'clock ల్యాప్టాప్ కనెక్ట్ అయితే
సరే నేను ఉంటా కానీ కొంచెంసేపు మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద టైమ్ రీడింగ్ హియరింగ్ లో ఉంటా బట్ మేనేజ్ దట్. ఓకే థ్యాంక్ యూ.
ఓకే సరే హరే కృష్ణ హరే కృష్ణ చైతన్య ప్రభు నిత్యానంద శ్రీ అద్వైత శ్రీ వాసాది. హరే కృష్ణ 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 హరే రామ హరే కృష్ణ 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 హరే రామ హరే కృష్ణ 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 హరే రామ హరే కృష్ణ 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपस्ताय भूतले श्रीमती राधा स्वामी नामे नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपस्ताय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामे नमस्ते सारस्वती गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य सतारण्य जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवादी गौतम हरे श्री हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्ण हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम राम हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 राम राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम राम हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 हरे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Ram, Ram Hare
Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna. Ram Ram Krishna 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Ram 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 Hare Chipna.
మామూలుగా మ్యాంగో నుంచి
లేదు bro. చెప్పండి. కృష్ణ గిరిరాజ్ ప్రభు అండ్ రాజ్ ప్రభు మనం ముగ్గురే ఉన్నాము. వచ్చే వెయిట్ చేద్దాం అండ్ దెన్ స్టార్ట్. ఓకే, హరే కృష్ణ. ఒక 8:15 అవుతుంది కానీ ఒక 5 minutes స్టార్ట్ చేద్దాం. ఎవరిని వచ్చినారా కానీ స్టార్ట్ చేసేది. కృష్ణ చైతన్య భగవంతుడు ఈ కావాలి. హరే కృష్ణ హరే కృష్ణ 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 రామ 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 రామ. హరే కృష్ణ హరే కృష్ణ 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 రామ 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 రామ. హరే కృష్ణ హరే కృష్ణ 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 రామ 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 రామ. హరే కృష్ణ హరే కృష్ణ 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 రామ 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 రామ. హరే కృష్ణ హరే కృష్ణ 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 రామ 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 రామ. హరే కృష్ణ హరే కృష్ణ 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 రామ 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 రామ. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram.
ఇది చెనిగింది తీసేసేద్దామా నువ్వు బ్యాగ్ ఇంకో చెనిగింది కుట్టించి వీళ్ళు వాడి కావాలంటే
కానివ్వండి, ఇవి వీటి శక్తి ఏంటంటే సర్వ అశుభ ఉపశమన.
Introduction.
భగవద్గీత ఇంట్రడక్షన్ ఉపయోగాలు ఏంటి
We'll start little bit. We'll start actual slokas. When introduction ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది. We'll start real slokas. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Krishna 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 Ram 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 Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Krishna 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 Ram Ram Krishna 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 Ram Ram Krishna 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 Ram Ram 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 Krishna 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 Ram Ram 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 Krishna 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 Ram Ram. Okay, Hare Krishna. Hope I'm audible. Let's start our session today. Anybody wants to do Mangalacharya? Adi Mataji, Ani Mataji, Mahatma Ramachandra Das Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
మంగళాచరణ చేస్తారు మాతాజీ.
ఓకే, చూస్ చేస్తాను ప్రభుజీ.
ఓకే.
ఓం అజ్ఞానతిమిరాంధస్య జ్ఞానాంజనశలాకయ చక్షుర్మిలితం येन తస్మై శ్రీ గురవే నమః. శ్రీ చైతన్య మనోభీష్టం స్థాపితం येन భూతలే స్వయం రూపా కదా మహ్యం దదాతి సుపదాంతికం. వందేహం శ్రీ గురుం శ్రీయుతపదకమలం శ్రీ గురున్ వైష్ణవాం శ్రీ రూపం సాగ్రజాతం సాగన రఘునాథం సజీవం సాద్వైతం సావధూతం పరిజన సహితం కృష్ణ చైతన్య దేవ శ్రీ రాధా కృష్ణ పాదాన్ సాగన లలిత శ్రీ విశాఖాన్వితాశ్చ హే కృష్ణ కరుణా సింధు దీనబంధో జగత్పతే గోపేశ గోపికా కాంత రాధా కాంత నమోస్తుతే. తప్తకాంచన గౌరాంగి రాధే బృందావనేశ్వరి వృషభాను సుతే దేవి ప్రణమామి హరిప్రియ. వాంఛాకల్పతరుభ్యశ్చ కృపా సింధుభ్య ఏవ చ పతితానాం పావనేభ్యో వైష్ణవేభ్యో నమో నమః. శ్రీకృష్ణ చైతన్య ప్రభు నిత్యానంద శ్రీ అద్వైత గదాధర శ్రీవాసాది గౌరభక్తవృంద. హరే కృష్ణ 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 హరే 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 రామ 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 హరే హరే. థ్యాంక్ యూ ప్రభు. हरे बोल प्रभु जी. हरे कृष्ण.
సారీ మాతాజీ, ఐ వాజ్ ఆన్ మ్యూట్. సారీ మ్యూట్లో మాట్లాడుతున్నాను. సారీ.
ఓకే.
ఓకే. సో నిన్న మనము భక్తి ధ్యాన యోగలో 6th చాప్టర్లో 40 to 42 చేశారు.
అది నంబర్ ఐడియా లేదు ప్రభుజీ, నేను కొంచెం లేట్గా జాయిన్ అయ్యి.
ఓకే, సరే నో ప్రాబ్లం. ఇది 42 ధ్యాన యోగ 2లో టెక్స్ట్ 43. ఓకే, మైండ్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ శ్లోక 35 to 36 ఉంది. ఇక్కడేమో 42 ఉంది. ఏది కరెక్టో తెలియదు నాకు. నిన్న చాట్లు. దట్స్ ఓకే. విల్ డూ క్విక్లీ సంథింగ్. 36 కదా. ఓకే, 40 ఎక్కడ దాకా వచ్చాము? 42 కాపీ పేస్ట్ అయి ఉండొచ్చు. 43 చదవాల్సి ఉండొచ్చు అంతే. ఓకే, నేను స్క్రీన్ షేర్ చేస్తాను 43కి. ఇట్స్ ఓకే, యూ విల్ లీడ్. ఓకే, 43 వచ్చింది. యా, ఓకే, ఎస్, డెఫినెట్గా 43 అయితే చదవండి. చదవండి ఫస్ట్ మీరు స్టార్ట్ చేయండి, తర్వాత ట్రాన్స్లేషన్.
ఓకే తత్ర తం బుద్ధి సంయోగం. రిపీట్ చేస్తారా ప్రభు? నేను చదివేనా?
మీరు చదవండి.
ఓకే. యా, లభతే పౌర్యదేహికం యతతే చ తతో భూయా సంసిద్ధౌ కురు నందన. ఓకే, 4 లైన్స్ చెప్పేసారు. తత్ర తం బుద్ధి సంయోగం లభతే పౌర్యదేహికం యతతే చ తతో భూయా సంసిద్ధౌ కురు నందన.
ఓకే, ఒక్క నిమిషం. This is 6.43. I'm just opening the book. Just give me a second. I am very comfortable in reading book. I don't know why. I'm such a old person type. I'm old person only.
No, actually it's good only, Prabhuji. Book నుంచి చదవడం మంచిగా అనిపిస్తుంది.
Very old person only. Right. Okay. Tatra tam buddhi samyogam labate పౌర్వదేహికం యతతే యతతే చ తతో భూయః సంసిద్ధో కురు నందన. ట్రాన్స్లేషన్.
Yeah. Translation. On taking such a birth, he reveals the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success. O son of Kuru. Thank you, Prabhuji.
ఓకే. ఏమంటున్నాడో చూద్దాం ఇక్కడ. ఓ కురునందన, అటువంటి జన్మను పొంది ఎటువంటి జన్మ పైన శ్లోకంలో వచ్చింది. సుదీర్ఘమైన యోగ సాధన విఫలమైతే అతను నిశ్చయంగా మహాజ్ఞానవంతుని యోగుల వంశంలో జన్మిస్తాడు. ఈ జగత్తులో అతని జన్మ నిశ్చయంగా తొలగింది. అటువంటి జన్మ గురించి చెప్తున్నాడు ఇక్కడ. ఒక కురునందున అటువంటి జన్మను పొంది అతడు తన పూర్వ జన్మలోని దివ్య చైతన్యత పునరుద్ధరించుకొని పూర్ణ విజయం సాధించడానికి అధికమైనటువంటి ప్రగతి కొరకు తిరిగి ప్రయత్నిస్తున్నాడు. ఏం లేదు, అది మనకు తెలిసిందే. సో ఇంతకు ముందు చేసిన జన్మలో సాధన ఉంటుంది కదా, ఆ సాధనని కంటిన్యూ చేస్తారు అక్కడి నుంచి అని చెప్తున్నారు. ఏది వేస్ట్ అవ్వదని చెప్పి. యా, దట్ ఈస్ గుడ్. అదర్వైజ్ విల్ నాట్ బి సిట్టింగ్ హియర్ ఇన్ దిస్ జూమ్ కాల్. Definitely in the previous janma, before that, you must have done something in this janma. That is
Because
where
of Sukruti only, Prabhuji.
yeah, otherwise it is not possible. Simply not possible. Not at all possible. Okay, 44. చదవండి మాతాజీ, నేను రిపీట్ చేస్తాను.
Okay. పూర్వాభ్యాసేన తేనైవ
పూర్వాభ్యాసేన తేనైవ
హ్రియతే హవసోపి సహ
క్రియతే హవ్యసోపి సహ
జిజ్ఞాసురపి యోగస్య
విజ్ఞాపి సురపి యోగస్య
శబ్ద బ్రాహ్మతి వర్తతే.
శబ్ద బ్రహ్మతి వర్తతే. వెరీ నైస్. థ్యాంక్ యూ మాతాజీ.
పూర్వాభ్యాసేన తేనైవ హ్రియతే అవసోపి సహ జిజ్ఞాసురపి యోగస్య శబ్ద బ్రహ్మతి వర్తతే.
పూర్వాభ్యాసేన తేనైవ ప్రియతే హవ్యసోపి సహ జిజ్ఞాసురపి యోగస్య శబ్ద బ్రహ్మాతి వర్తతే. హరిబోల్. ఓకే, ఒక్కసారి అడుగుదాం. వాణి మాతాజీ అన్మ్యూట్ చేసి అవుతారా? వాణి మాతాజీ. ఓకే, రాజు ప్రభు. మహాత్మా రామచంద్ర ప్రభు.
ప్రభుజీ హియరింగ్ మోడ్ ప్రభుజీ, బయటకు వచ్చాను.
మహాత్మా రామచంద్ర ప్రభు. హరిబోల్. ప్రభు చదువు.
Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles. Even without seeking them, such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
థ్యాంక్ యూ ప్రభు. సో ఇక్కడ ఏమంటారంటే, తెలుగు ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ కూడా చదివి విల్ డిస్కస్. తన పూర్వ జన్మలోని దివ్య చైతన్య బలం వల్ల అతడు ఎవరు అటువంటి యోగి కోరకని అప్రయత్నంగా యోగ నియమాలపై ఆకర్షిస్తాడు. ఎక్కడైనా ఇట్లా భగవద్గీత భాగవతం ఉన్నాయంటే వెంటనే వెళ్ళిపోతాడంట. ఓకే, వెళ్ళి కూర్చుంటాడు. మీలో చాలా మందికి ఆ ఎక్స్పీరియన్సెస్ ఉంటే సో మీరు యోగులు ఇంతకు జన్మ అంతే కదా. ఏదో ఒక అట్రాక్షన్ లేకపోతే ఎందుకు వస్తారండి చెప్పండి. అటువంటి జిజ్ఞాసమైనటువంటి యోగి సర్వదా శాస్త్రాల్లో ఆచార విధులకు అతీతంగా ఉంటుంది. ఓకే, సో కొన్ని నియమాలు ఉన్నాయి, ఆచార విధులు ఉన్నాయి. వాటికంటే రిచువలిస్టిక్ ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ కంటే ట్రాన్స్జెండర్ స్టాట్ మీద ఎబో ఉంటుంది కదా స్టాట్. ఓకే, సచ్ ఇంక్విసిటివ్ ట్రాన్స్లేట్ స్టాండ్స్ ఆల్వేస్ ఎబో ద రిచువలిస్ట్ ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ అండ్ ద స్క్రిప్చర్స్. అంటే రిచువల్ మీద ఫోకస్ చేయడంట.
దాని మీద ఉన్నటువంటి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మీద ఫోకస్ చేస్తాడు అని చెప్తారు అన్నమాట ఇక్కడ. యా, అదనమాట. వెరీ నైస్, సో వండర్ఫుల్. జస్ట్ ప్రాసెస్ మీద ప్రాసెస్ ఎందుకు అలా ఉంది, ప్రాసెస్ బియాండ్ యొక్క ఆధ్యాత్మిక చింతన చేస్తాడు అని చెప్తాడు. ఓకేనా, వెరీ గుడ్. ఓకే, లెట్స్ మూవ్ టు 45. ఓకే, మాతాజీ చెప్పండి. మాదేవి మాతాజీ.
Yes, Prabhu. Bhagavad-gita 6.45. ప్రయత్నాదేయత మానస్తు
ప్రయత్నాదితమానస్తు
యోగి సంశుద్ధ కిల్బిషః
యోగి సంశుద్ధి కిల్బిషః
అనేక జన్మ సంసిద్ధాస్
అనేక జన్మ సంసిద్ధ
తతో యాతి పరాం గతిం.
తతో యాతి పరం గతిం.
ప్రయత్నాదిత మానస్తు యోగి సంశుద్ధ కిల్బిషః అనేక జన్మ సంసిద్ధాస్ తతో యాతి పరాం గతిం.
ప్రయత్నాదయాతమానస్తు యోగి సంశుద్ధ కిల్మిషః అనేక జన్మ సంసిద్ధో తతో యాతి పరాం గతిం. Krishna. Let's find out who else will read. Vani Mataji, చదువు. Okay. నేను చదువుతాను. Okay. And when the yogi engages himself with a sincere endeavor, okay, in making further progress. Okay. And when the yogi engages himself with a sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection after many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. ఒకసారి తెలుగులో డిస్కస్ చేద్దాం. ఎంత బాగా చెప్తున్నాడు కృష్ణ. యోగి తపస్వి కన్నను అధికుడు, జ్ఞాని కన్నను అధికుడు, కామ్య కర్మరతుడి కన్నను అధికుడు. సారీ 45 అదే నేను చూసుకున్నాను, మీనింగ్ డిఫరెన్స్ ఉంది. సమస్త కల్మశాల నుంచి శుద్ధిపడిన వాడే యోగి మరింత పురోగతి. ఓకే, సమస్త కల్మశాల నుంచి శుద్ధిపడిన యోగి మరింత పురోగతి శ్రద్ధతో యత్నించినప్పుడు అనేక జన్మల సాధన తర్వాత అంట పూర్ణత్వం పొంది తుట పరమగతిని పొందుతాడు. ఏదో ఒక జన్మలో అయిపోయేది కాదని చెప్తున్నాడు ఇక్కడ. టైం పడుతుంది బాబు, పేషెంట్గా సాధన చేయండి అని చెప్తున్నాడు. ఓకే, కాకపోతే మీరు చేసిన ఏది వేస్ట్ అవ్వదని చెప్తున్నాడు. సో మనం ఏం చేయాలి, డిసప్పాయింట్ అవ్వకుండా చేసుకుంటా పోవాలి. 10th క్లాస్ ఒక రోజులో పాస్ అవుతామా? బీటెక్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ 1 monthలో అయిపోతుందా? 4 years అవుతాడు కదా. అట్లనే ఇది. సో వీ హ్యావ్ టు డూ అవర్ సిన్సియర్ జప. ఓన్లీ ద థింగ్ ఈస్ వీ హ్యావ్ టు బీ ఇన్ engineering college. We have to connect to engineering college to complete 4 years to get the engineering graduation. In the same way, we have to be with connection with the devotees. We have to in Sangha, devotee Sangha. Okay, that is what we have to do. Hare Krishna. Okay, next చూస్తాను ఏం చదవమన్నారు. ఓకే, శ్రీల ప్రభుపాద లీలామృతం చదివినారు, అది కంటిన్యూ. ఓకే, వాల్యూమ్ 2. యా, వాట్ విల్ యూ శ్రీల ప్రభుపాద లీలామృతం చదువుతాం, వాల్యూమ్ 2. I will open that. శ్రీల ప్రభుపాద లీలామృతం వాల్యూమ్ 2 2.39. ఓకే, వాల్యూమ్ 2లో ఒక్క నిమిషం. ఓకే, ఐ విల్ బిల్డ్ వండర్ఫుల్ టెంపుల్ ఫర్ యూ. ఓకే, 2.39లో ఎక్కడ చదివిండ్రు? బై ఫార్ విత్ ద సొసైటీ, బై ఫార్ విత్ ఇన్ సొసైటీ. Completed. Yes, wonderful. ఇక్కడ చదివింది నిన్న చదువుదాం ఇక్కడి నుంచి చదువుదాం. ఓకే, ఎవరితో స్టార్ట్ చేద్దాం? ఓకే, చంద్రమోహన్ ప్రభు జాయిన్ అయ్యారు. చంద్రమోహన్ ప్రభు, ఫస్ట్ యూ టేక్ ద ఛాన్స్.
హరే కృష్ణ.
హరి బోల్. చంద్రమోహన్ ప్రభుకి జై.
ప్రసాద్ ప్రభుకి జై జై. In the month while Prabhupada was away from Bombay, he had left on February 10. The payment of 50,000 rupees was duly made. Slowly at first, a few devotees moved to the Juhu land, living in a tent. At night, the rats and mosquitoes would disturb the devotees' sleep. While attempting to clear the overgrown weeds, they came upon the empty liquor bottles and overflowing sewage. Without Prabhupada present, their resolution grew weak. But then Brahmananda Swami returned from Calcutta, where he had been with Srila Prabhupada. Brahmananda Swami was inspired and he gave the Bombay devotees new impetus. They would have to clear the land and raise a pandal right away. Brahmananda Swami had never put on a pandal program before, but he hired a contractor to build several chatat palm found houses for the devotees and a festival tent. Even before the construction could begin, however, the devotees would have to thoroughly clear the land. Mr. Sethi, a neighbor and a life member, hired a work crew to cut down the weeds and vegetarian and several life. Prabhu, కొంచెం move చేస్తారా?
Yes, ప్రభు, చేస్తాను.
And several life members and friends in Bombay and came forward to assist. Mr. N offered to help by sending one of his assistants, Mr. Mathur, to organize the hide laborers in clearing the fields. The devotees also worked in preparation for Prabhupada's return. Sri Radha Rasvihari arrived at Hare Krishna land in a taxi, riding across the laps of several devotees. They had moved before, and this time their residence was a tent. They had first come to be with the devotees of Bombay during the Pandal program at Cross Maiden in downtown Bombay. On that occasion, there had been a procession to Chowpatty Beach, and when the devotees had arrived, Radha Rasvihari, beautifully dressed and decorated and installed in an ornate palanquin, had been awaiting them. Krishna was white marble and held a silver flute. Radha on his right hand, palm forward, extended a benediction. They were beautiful. After their first appearance at Chaupati, Radha Rasvihari had moved to the Akash Ganga building, where gradually the devotees had established a decent standard of deity worship. When Prabhupada had left orders that Radha Rasvihari should move to Juhu as soon as the down payment was made, some of the devotees had questioned him. Why should the deity move before the facilities were proper? Shouldn't they wait until the temple was built? Once the deity is installed on a place of on a piece of prosperity, Prabhupada had replied, "No one will remove them." Shall I continue, Prabhuji?
Yes, continue.
Yeah. More than anyone else, Prabhupada was aware of the proper worship to be offered to Radha Swahari, but his emphasis now was on securing the land. How else he reasoned could have eventually give Radha Swahari a royal throne and temple unless they themselves first established their right of proprietorship by taking up residence at Hare Krishna land. The arrival of Radha Rasvihari at Juhu also meant increased difficulties for the devotees who now had to struggle to maintain the morning puja and cook 6 daily offerings in the major kitchen. Even Radha Rasvihari tent was insubstantial and swayed in the wind. Srila Prabhupada, however, saw the move as a necessary transcendental tactic. He felt certain that everyone involved, himself, the owners of the land, the Bombay municipality, would accept that the land belongs to the Krishna, since Krishna was already residing there. And because he was asking Lord Krishna himself to accept these inconveniences, he prayed to the deity, "My dear sir, please remain here, and I shall build a beautiful temple for you." By the time Prabhupada returned to Bombay, Radha Rasvihari were installed on the stage of the festival pandal. Attendance at the festival was not as great as it would have been in downtown Bombay. No more than 500 people came a night, but Prabhupada was satisfied. This festival was on their own property, and this was only the beginning.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
bro.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, bro. Okay, next Mahatma Prabhu, Mahatma Ramchandra Prabhu. చదువుతారు.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. చదవమంటారా ప్రభుజీ?
Evening చదవండి ప్రభు.
Every evening, Prabhupada lectured at the
నువ్వు బిట్ లౌడ్ ప్రభు, వినపట్లేదు.
Okay, Prabhuji. Every evening, Prabhupada lectured at the Pandal and attempted the Kirtana and Arati before Radha Rasavihari. Panchadravida Swami had collected donations of 5 tons of dal, rice and flour, and the devotees were regularly cooking enough khichari to serve 125 people free prasadam daily. In the evening, Prabhupada himself would give out halwa from the deity's plate, and the crowd, including well-to-do businessmen and their wives, would press forward to receive the prasadam. Prabhupada liked the festival so much that he told the devotees to arrange to keep the tent for a perpetual festival. Prabhupada lived on the land in a tent just like the other devotees until a Mr. Acharya, one of the more favorable tenants living in the back of the property, invited him to stay at his home. Within a few days of his arrival at Juhu, Prabhupada was ready to hold the ground breaking and cornerstone laying ceremony, another tactic for securing possession of the land. But it was more than a tactic, as he wanted a temple constructed as soon as possible. Radha Rasavihari should not remain standing in a tent but should be protected by a silver and teakwood simhasana on a marble altar. They should be surrounded by deities of the two gopis, Lalita and Vishaka, and their temple should have marble domes more than 100 feet high. Thousands should come daily for darshana and prasadam. One morning, in the midst of the festival activities, the devotees of Hare Krishna land joined Prabhupada in a simple cornerstone laying ceremony. They had dug a deep ceremonial pit and surrounded it with bricks. Prabhupada descended and placed the deity of Sesha. Then, sitting on a simple platform, Prabhupada accompanied the Kirtana by playing a brass gong, while one by one the devotees came before him and threw dirt into the pit, filling it, while smoke rose from the sacrificial fire. Prabhupada was outraged that Brahmananda Swami had agreed to pay the contractors 40,000 rupees for the pandal construction. It was the same old thing, the foolish Western disciples getting cheated. Prabhupada refused to pay. 4,000 rupees should be more than enough. When the contractors came to see him, he told them that he had little money and that they would have to be satisfied with 4,000 rupees. They protested, but Prabhupada became angry and insisted, accept it, you are making 500% profit. As soon as they see us, Prabhupada said later, they say, these Americans, they have got money. Our work is going on in India. But as soon as money is being spent, 50% is being spoiled because you Americans are inexperienced. What can be done? The Indians want your money and they cheat like anything. During the Pandal festival, the Tenement neighbors had become disturbed by kirtanas over the loudspeaker. They were already disturbed that their landlord, Mr. N, was slow to repair the buildings and would sometimes let them go a full week without water before fixing the plumbing. Being suddenly forced to live with more than 20 American devotees only exacerbated their dissatisfaction. Some of the neighbors were converted Christians and unsympathetic to Vaishnavism. They even feared their children might again be converted to Hinduism. Some tenants claimed the devotees were infringing on their privacy. Some criticized the devotees for arguing among themselves, and others criticized that the unmarried men and women were living in close proximity, even though in separate quarters. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Chadona, Prabhuji.
You are
A few of the neighbors, however, could see the Western Vaishnavas were struggling to sincerely worship Radha and Krishna. None of the tenants criticized Prabhupada, however, so when he was present, he was able to pacify them and resolve any disagreements. But Prabhupada knew that after he left, the situation could easily become volatile.
Thank you. Okay, Madhavi Mataji Chaudhary. Hare Krishna. Okay, Madhavi Mataji or Vani Mataji?
Prabhuji, ఇప్పుడు unmute అయింది Prabhuji. Okay. Yeah. Prabhupada was planning an extensive world tour, traveling eastward to Australia, Japan, Hawaii, and the US, and perhaps Mexico and Europe. It might be as long as a year before he would return to India, and he wanted things to progress smoothly in Bombay without him. A few days before Prabhupada's departure, Madhudvisha Swami complained, "I am not feeling very enthusiastic here. I think I need a change." Prabhupada asked him where he wanted to go, and Madhudvisha replied that he was thinking of Australia. Prabhupada said, "Yes, I am going there. You also come." Brahmananda Swami told Prabhupada that the preaching was deteriorating in Nairobi in his absence, and Prabhupada agreed that he should return to his duties there. Again, Prabhupada had to choose a new Bombay manager. And this time he chose Giriraja, a young brahmachari and leading preacher in making ISKCON life members. Prabhupada reasoned that since the essence of management was to collect donations and make life members, and since Giriraja was expert at that, then even though he was young and otherwise inexperienced, he had the most important qualifications. Prabhupada had already found Giriraja to be simple and submissively dedicated to helping him develop Hare Krishna land. Giriraja, Srila Prabhupada said, "You will go, you will do, Giriraja." So I said, "Yes, Srila Prabhupada, whatever you say." I wasn't actually very happy about it, but I understood that one should be surrendered to the spiritual master, and whatever he said, one should do. So I accepted. Prabhupada said that good management meant that whatever needs doing, we do it. That's all. Later, I went in to see Srila Prabhupada, and he was sitting behind his desk. He said, "Now the full responsibility is on you." I winced when he said that because I wasn't used to taking responsibility. During Prabhupada's stay in Bombay, Hans Kehlmann, a young architect from Holland, had come to hear the lectures and had become interested in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada convinced Hans to become a devotee and help build the Hare Krishna city in Bombay. Under Prabhupada's direction, Hans at once began to make architectural drawings for the buildings. Should I continue, Prabhu? Prabhuji?
Challenge.
Hans. Prabhupada said, "Now you listen carefully. Lord Krishna has sent you here. You must design these temples for him. You must do this very sincerely and not be afraid." I was completely surrendered. That moment was really ecstasy for me. He had a pile of photographs on his desk, and he gave them to me and said, "Look at this." I looked at the pictures, and they were photographs of the new Govindaji temple in Vrindavana. He said, "I want you to make a design like this." So I asked him how big. Srila Prabhupada. He gave me a piece of typing paper and said I should draw on this paper. Then he gave me the photographs and a pencil and a ruler. He took me to the next room and told me to sit down at the table. Pradyumna was there with all his Sanskrit books. Shamasundara was there typing the letters, and suddenly I was in between making the drawings. Prabhupada said Giriraja and the others would have to collect 64 lakhs of rupees for the construction. The devotees had no idea how they would raise even a fraction of that amount, but Prabhupada gave them some ideas. He talked to them about enlisting the support of influential men by using the Bent Nama system, whereby a person purchases the use of a guest room for life. And there were other ways. But the immediate step was to get the land. They had possession of the land, but before building, they should have the deed. Since Mr. N was already overdue in delivering the deed, Prabhupada told Giriraja to press him to comply with the written agreement and deliver the deed at once.
Yeah.
Thank you,
you.
Prabhuji.
ఒక 2 పేరాలు ఉన్నాయి చదివండి తర్వాత కొంచెం నెక్స్ట్ స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది యా మీరు 2 చదివండి ఇఫ్ Prabhupada
In Prabhupada's last lecture in Bombay, he spoke about 6 Goswamis of Vrindavana and the bittersweet ecstasy of their hankering to be with Krishna. Some of the Prabhupada's disciples took it that Prabhupada was speaking about this because he was himself going to be leaving for a long time. At the airport the next day, there was a joyful farewell as Prabhupada waited for his flight to Australia. Sitting in the VIP lounge surrounded by devotees, Prabhupada watched Madhudisha Swami lead an ecstatic kirtana. If you go on having kirtanas like this, Prabhupada told the devotees, our Bombay project will be successful. When Prabhupada saw Mrs. N had come, he exclaimed, "Oh, Mrs. N, you are also here. You are becoming one of us."
Okay. So still that time also Mr. N is okay. Okay, he's there. Then after that, like he will stop responding and then he will agree to deed. Okay. Krishna will say. Lalita Mohan Prabhu joined. Vani Mataji, you want to okay. Lalita Mohan Prabhu, unmute చేయండి Prabhu. ఒక చదువుతారా
అదే వాణిమాతని చేయమని ప్రభుజీ
అన్మ్యూట్ చేయండి మాతాజీ చేయట్లేదు అన్మ్యూట్ చేయట్లేదు సో ఏమైనా ప్రాబ్లం
చేయట్లేదా సార్ ఒక్క నిమిషం ఉంది రోజు తిప్పుతా ఒకసారి సార్ తిప్పు సార్ నువ్వు రావట్లే కింద అంటుకుంది అది కూడా చూడు కొంచెం అయిపోయినట్టే ఉంది. Prabhupada had the extraordinary ability to bring a spiritual vision into physical reality, to change a part of the material world into spiritual energy so that even a common man could perceive the spiritual reality. This was Prabhupada's constant effort. Often a transcendentalist hesitates to deal with the material world, fearing he may become spiritually weakened. ప్రసాద్ ప్రభు కొంచెం ఫాంట్ పెద్ద చేస్తారా ప్రభు?
ఓకే సార్ చేస్తాను. ఇది ఎలా ఉంది ప్రభు?
ఇంకొంచెం చేయండి ప్రభు. అంటే మీరు ల్యాప్టాప్ లో ఉన్నారు కదా, మేము ఫోన్ లో ఉంటున్నాం ప్రభు. చాలా చిన్నగా అనిపిస్తుంది. దిస్ ఇస్ బిట్ బెటర్ ప్రభు.
అవునా, ఒక్క నిమిషం. ఎక్కడున్నాను? ఇదేనా?
కింద ఇంకా 3-4 వచ్చింది ప్రభు.
అవును, ఇక్కడ స్టార్ట్ చేశారు కదా.
Thank you, Bauji. This was Prabhupada's constant effort. Often, a transcendentalist hesitates to deal with the material world, fearing he may become spiritually weakened. The Vedic injunctions, therefore, warn the transcendentalist to avoid associating with money and materialistic persons. But Prabhupada, following the principles taught by Srila Rupa Goswami, saw that everything material had the potential of being used in the service of Krishna and thus of regaining its spiritual nature. Following this principle, an expert devotee, although apparently acting within the material sphere, could remain always in touch with the spiritual energy. For such a devotee, nothing was material.
Okay, next. చదవండి.
In the Vedic scriptures, the great devotee Narada Muni, because of his ability to convert materialistic men into devotees, is referred as a Chintamani or touchstone. Just as Chintamani is said to convert iron into gold, so Narada could transform a beast-like hunter into a pure Vaishnava. And as Narada is glorified in the Vedas for accomplishing such feats in bygone ages, so Srila Prabhupada is similarly potent touchstone in the present age. Again and again, he showed by his straightforward application of Krishna consciousness that he could change a materialist into a completely renounced, active devotee of the Lord. And now, after recruiting a number of devotees from Maya's camp, he wanted to engage them in transforming as much as possible of the material world into living spirit. By his transcendental, visionary words, he was attempting to convert stone and human energy into glorious spiritual temples. Yeah. While ambitious materialists sometimes criticize transcendentalists as unproductive. Very important, huh? Very important for us. While ambitious materialists, okay, sometimes criticize transcendentalists as unproductive.
Correct.
Okay. Prabhupada, because of his constant activity, could never be so accused. Rather, people would criticize him as being a capitalist in the dress of a sannyasi. But such criticism never deterred Prabhupada. He was carrying out the desires of previous acharyas. He had written this conclusion in Srimad Bhagavatam even before coming to America in 1965. All the sages and devotees of the అంటే ప్రభుపాద్ ఇది ప్రభుపాద్ భాగవతంలో రాశారు ఇది. ప్రభుజీ నేను అంటే ఎక్కువ చదువుతున్నా ఆపుతాను లేకపోతే
లేదు చదవండి ప్రభు, ఎందుకంటే ఎక్కువ మంది లేరు. చదవండి.
Okay. Therefore, all the sages and devotees of the Lord have recommended that the subject matter of art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, and all other branches of knowledge should be wholly and solely applied in the service of the Lord. Art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, and all other branches of knowledge. Prabhupada wanted to convert significant portions of material world into the spiritual world. In attempting to construct a spiritual city in Juhu, he realized he was launching a major attack against Maya. Within a few months, so many complications and headaches had already disturbed his plans, and more would come. The battle was just beginning. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
థ్యాంక్ యూ ప్రభు. ప్రభు ఒక్క పేరానే ఉంది ప్రభు, నెక్స్ట్ వచ్చి చాప్టర్ స్టార్ట్ చేయొచ్చు. చదివేసి
Sorry. Sometimes Prabhupada's disciples found the work to be draining and stressful. They would become bewildered. They had come to spiritual life for bliss, not for anxiety. Prabhupada's presence and his constant encouragement helped them remain steadfast. He knew that once they tasted the nectar of selfless dedication to Krishna, they would never accept anything lesser. He would encourage them, reminding them of the words of spiritual predecessors like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who had said, "Difficulties undertaken in the course of your devotional service, I will consider the great happiness." Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
encourage remaining the world spirit. Thank you, bro. Thank you very much. Okay, we are moving to chapter 40, that is 2.40. Okay. Chapter 40, around the world, but observed in Bombay. He is around the world but absorbed in Bombay. Nice. Okay, Raja Prabhu, start చేయండి Prabhu. Fresh కొత్త chapter తో start చేయండి. Raja Prabhu. Unmute చేయండి. Okay. సరే. వాణి మాతాజీ. Okay. I think Raja Prabhu is not able to unmute. If he raise the hand also. Vani Mataji chadavali, Raja Prabhu chadavali. Okay, I'll start and then we'll ask Vani Mataji and Raja. Chapter 40, around the world but absorbed in Bombay. Srila Prabhupada Leelamritam ki jai. Prabhupada traveled with the three disciples. Shyama Sundara has his secretary, Pradyumna has his servant and Sanskrit editor, and Nanda Kumara as his cook. The first to stop was Singapore, where, without explanation, immigration authorities refused Prabhupada entry into the country. Singapore rejected Prabhupada. Krishna. Good. Sympathetic Indians in Singapore had arranged for Prabhupada to lecture and had even mailed hundreds of invitations. But Srila Prabhupada, disappointed and feeling ill, had to continue 12-hour flight to Sydney because they refused and he started going to Sydney. April 1, 1972. Prabhupada planned to stay a few days in Sydney. Okay, before going to Melbourne, in Australia only. Although the Krishna conscious movement was young in Australia, Prabhupada saw a positive signs. Devotees to initiate TV and radio appearances and an interested crowd in his morning lectures in the temple. Okay, this is the only his second visit to Australia. On his first visit, almost a year ago, he had installed the deities Radha Gopinath and had prayed to them. Now, I am leaving you in the hands of preachers. I cannot take the responsibility. You please guide these boys and girls and give them the intelligence to worship you very nicely. Now I am returning and seeing the deities beautifully dressed and well cared for, well happy. After 5 busy days of preaching, you on Melbourne. He took a lot of risk as well, leaving everything to those boys who do not know much. But still he is praying. Upananda. In Melbourne, Prabhupada spoke at a town hall and all Melbourne hippies came. There was a man there called the Wizard. He used to be a professor at the university, but he resigned his post so he could carry out his Snake Snena Center. He was very intellectual. He was dressed in a black cap and a leotard, and he got up as soon as Srila Prabhupada asked for questions. He had a group of his followers, work followers. First, he spoke very respectfully. Excuse me, Your Divine Grace. I've been listening to your lecture, but I have one thing I would like to say in this regard. I believe that I am God. I am the center of the universe. And I will prove sometime next year that I am the center of the universe. Such a Krishna. Prabhupada said, that's all right. Everybody is thinking like that. What makes you different? Initially, he said very soft, and that's all right. Krishna, that's all right. Everybody's thinking like that. What makes you different? Actually,
The wizard's whole game was that he wanted to be different. His dress, everything. So Prabhupada exposed him as just another materialistic fool. Everybody started laughing and clapping. అందరూ ఇలాగే ఆలోచిస్తారు, పెద్ద డిఫరెంట్ చెప్పేదే ఉందిలే అన్నాడు కృష్ణ. సో Prabhupada know very clearly what to answer, how to answer. Very nice, very beautiful. Okay. Okay. We'll give it to someone else.
And read Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you for managing.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Giriraj Prabhu. చదవం
Thank you, sir.
చదవం ఆకలి నుంచి.
Very good. Thank you. ఇంకో చాప్టర్ స్టార్ట్ చేసిండ్రా?
అవును ప్రభు.
గ్రేట్. థ్యాంక్ యూ. ఓకే, ఈ టైటిల్ ఏంది ప్రభు? 40th చాప్టర్ టైటిల్ ఏంది?
టైటిల్ ప్రభు ఇమ్మర్సింగ్ ఇన్ బాంబే ప్రభు. ఓకే, అరౌండ్ ద వరల్డ్ బట్ అబ్జార్బ్డ్ ఇన్ బాంబే.
యాక్చువల్గా మీరు చదువుతుంటే విన్నా కదా. సో గిరిరాజ్ స్వామి మహారాజ్ ఒక బుక్ రాశాడు ఒక 1.5-2 years బ్యాక్.
ప్రభు మీ వాయిస్ కొంచెం లో ఉంది ప్రభు, ఒక్కసారి చూడండి.
ఇప్పుడు ఓకేనా ప్రభు?
ఇప్పుడు ఓకే.
సో ఇదోరినస్ గిరిరాజ్ స్వామి మహారాజ్ ప్రభుపాద డిసైపుల్ కదా. అప్పుడు జుహు ప్రాజెక్ట్ ని చూసిండు. సో ఆ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ అంతా, హార్డ్షిప్స్, హార్డ్ స్ట్రగుల్, ఆ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ముఖ్యంగా నాయర్, సో అదంతా కూడా రికార్డ్ చేసిండు అనమాట ఒక బుక్ లో. ఐ విల్ బి ఏ టెంపుల్ అని ఒక పెద్ద బుక్ రాసిండు మహారాజ్. సో ఇప్పుడు చదువుతుంటే అదంతా గుర్తొస్తుంది అనమాట. ఈ మహారాజ్ అన్ని కూడా ఆ ఈవెంట్స్ అన్ని నైస్ గా రాసిన అనమాట. ఐ విల్ బిల్డ్ ఏ టెంపుల్. ఇంత ముందు చాప్టర్ కూడా అదే కదా అది. సో రైట్, థ్యాంక్ యూ. చూడండి, ఐ విల్ బిల్డ్ యువర్ టెంపుల్, ద జూ స్టోరీ. ఓకే, సో ఐ విల్ రీడ్ అండ్ డ్రా. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ ఫర్ మేనేజింగ్ ఫర్ టుడే. Auckland, April 14, 1972. The devotees had just opened a temple in New Zealand a few weeks before Prabhupada's arrival. Prabhupada stayed a couple of days and installed Radhakrishna deities. Bhurijana Prabhu. Prabhupada installed large marble deities, but there was only one girl to take care of them. Prabhupada was insisting that the deities should be installed anyway and that they should be taken care of properly. He demanded that they should have many sets of clothes immediately, dressings. So some devotees built a temporary wooden altar and put up a curtain for the deities. The curtains fell down. Everything was going wrong. It was confusing and everyone was upset. So Srila Prabhupada just took over. He said, put this here, put that back up there, do this, do that. He completely took command of the whole situation. The devotees put the curtains back, and Prabhupada said, get rid of this Vyasasana, and they took the Vyasasana out because it was so big and the room was so small that there was no room for the people. Prabhupada just put a mat on the floor and sat down on that. Prabhupada visited for one night in Hong Kong, where he lectured at a program arranged by Purijana and his wife Jagatharini. Purijana, we had taught the Indian culture to sing the prayers to the spiritual master. So we had them sing for Prabhupada. He looked at me and he was really pleased. Then he said, your wife said there are no interested people, but you have so many students here. I said, you have so many students, Prabhupada. At the end of the lecture, Prabhupada asked if there were any questions, and a little Indian boy raised his hand and asked, who started the forest fire? The boy was thinking of a forest fire mentioned in the Krishna book in Krishna's pastime, but all he said was, who started the forest fire? But Prabhupada took the question in a different way. What this material world is like a blazing forest fire, just like the prayers to the spiritual master had described. So Prabhupada said, no one started the forest fire. It starts automatically, just like in the forest. By the rubbing of two bamboos, a fire may start. But by chanting Hare Krishna, we can get out of this forest fire of material life. In Japan, the devotees lived in an old farmhouse in the hills countryside Tokyo. Srila Prabhupada stayed in a nearby hotel, installed Radhakrishna deities in the temple, and awarded sannyasa to ISKCON Tokyo leader Sudama. Prabhupada said he knew The Prabhupada said he knew the pulse of his disciples. Thus, he had recently sensed a tendency in his leading managers to be too absorbed in management and not enough in preaching. He had been telling his secretary that GBC men should not simply sit behind their desks and try to centralize power, but should become detached, take sannyasa, and travel and preach. With this in mind, he had awarded the sannyasa order to two of his GBC secretaries, Tamalakrishna and Sudama. Now he advised that they not give up their managerial burden but follow his example of preaching and managing their GBC zones in a renounced spirit. Now, wonderful, ఎంత డైరెక్షన్ చేసింది ఇట్లా sitting behind the desks and that's why even sannyasada you have to go travel preach and manage everything. Can I continue, Prabhu? So one, two more paragraphs. Let me feel. Let me read.
చదవండి ప్రభు, చదవండి.
Sham Sundara, Prabhupada's hotel room had rice paper walls and was very cold. It was like coming back into the northern climate, but without central heating. One day I came to Prabhupada's room for Mangalarati and I had a blanket wrapped around me. I said, "Are you cold, Prabhupada? Are you cold, Prabhupada?" I could see he did not like the cold, but he wasn't going to let that stop him from serving Krishna. Nanda Kumara. At the Sunday feast, there were about 30 Japanese people, mostly young, and every single one brought Prabhupada a flower, put it at his feet, and paid full dandavats. They were so respectful. Prabhupada said that it was a good sign that these boys and girls are able to honor a saintly person. Gurijana. We had arranged a program in Kobe. Many Indians and Sindhis lived there. It was a long journey out of Tokyo. They put Prabhupada on the third floor of the house, and there was no elevator. Prabhupada just put his chin out and walked right up, even though it was a tremendous effort for him. The engagement was arranged in such a poor way that on the same speaking program with Prabhupada was a Mayavadi sannyasi. Prabhupada wanted to speak first, so he spoke in English. There were quite a few Indians there, about 100. Prabhupada explained very clearly and strongly that Krishna is God. Then the other sannyasi began speaking Hindi. ఈ రెండు చదువుతాను ప్రభు అయిపోతుంది ఇక్కడికి
చదువు.
ఇటాలిక్స్ ఉంది కాబట్టి మొత్తం స్టోరీ. Then the other sannyasi began speaking in Hindi. Prabhupada was just sitting there with his eyes closed, chanting japa. Suddenly he looked at us and said, "Start Kirtana immediately." So we got up in the middle of the sannyasi speaking and started Kirtana. Prabhupada left quickly after the Kirtana. When we got back to the room with Prabhupada, he explained what had happened. He said, first he was preaching nicely and then he started explaining Panchopasana about the 5 different features of the Absolute. And then when he said that Supreme is ultimately impersonal, I could not tolerate it. Prabhupada said, I am like a lion when I am out and a lamb when I am home. Jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
ఇది చూడండి ప్రభు, సెకండ్ పారా చాలా బాగా. About the 5 different features of absolute, and then when he said that the supreme is ultimately impersonal, I could not tolerate it. Prabhupada said, I am like a lion when I am out and a lamb when I am at home. I am like a lion when I am out and a lamb when I am at home. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Josh.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next, Raj Prabhu చదువుతారా?
ఎస్ ప్రభు చదువుతాను. ఇక్కడ నుంచి ప్రభుపాద హ్యాడ్
కొంచెం వాయిస్ ప్రభు, కొంచెం వాయిస్
లో ఉందా ప్రభుజీ?
వాయిస్ తక్కువ ఉంది.
హరే కృష్ణ. ఇప్పుడు వినిపిస్తుందా ప్రభు?
ఇప్పుడు బాగుంది.
Yeah, Prabhupada had business in Tokyo with his printer, Dai Nippon. He was greatly pleased with the faith Dai Nippon printing company placed in him, giving him hundreds of thousands of dollars credit just on his word. One of the Dai Nippon executives even approached him submissively, inquiring about whether his son, who had died a year and a half ago, had gone to the Buddha. A young Japanese executive who translated the older man's question and Prabhupada's answer. Explained to Prabhupada. Since then, he has been very religious. He was the eldest son, Prabhupada asked. 20 years, youngest son. The two executives spoke briefly. He is asking how he can be relieved from such sadness when his son has died. Oh, yes, Prabhupada said, the point is that success of everything depends on how Krishna is satisfied. That I have explained. He related the examples of Sandipani Muni, the spiritual master of Krishna and Balaram. Sandipani Muni's sons had died and he requested his two students, my dear boys, I lost my child very young. If you kindly bring him, then I will be very much pleased. So Krishna went to the planet of Yamaraja and brought his son back. So you try to satisfy Krishna, you try to satisfy, you will be blessed, your son will be blessed. You pray to Krishna whether your son may be, he will be happy. You believe in reincarnation, next birth. The young man spoke to the elder executive in Japanese. The older man nodded. Prabhupada continued, so yes, so your son, he must have taken the body somewhere. If so, if you pray to Krishna, your son will be happy, you will be benefit. Can I continue, Prabhuji?
Mm-hmm.
When Prabhupada's GBC secretary for the Western United States, Karandara, arrived in Tokyo to assist dealing with the Dai Nippon printing company, Prabhupada talked with him about his new project in Bombay. He also wrote two letters to Giraja, mm, urging urging him to begin constructing the Bombay buildings as soon as possible. He wanted Girish to model the temple after Jaipur's famous Govindaji temple and erect beside a modern iris hotel. And then you shall have the perfect Juhu plan. Prabhupada said has now Surabhi should finish the drawings and get city council approval by June so that we could begin foundation before the monsoon. I do not think that it is possible. Prabhupada wrote, but if you can try for it, that will be nice. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, bro.
Guruji, can I read?
Yes, Matas.
I made sick things and people. During the because of weekly staying home, he installed the side duties of the Panchatattva. Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Sri Gadadhara, and Sri Nivasa. He also lectured on yoga at the local yoga meditation center. During his morning walks on the beach, he spoke about the fallacies of Darwinism, rocky Waikiki beach. He commented was not as beautiful as Juhu. Nandikumara. At that time, all the devotees in Hawaii were wearing sleeveless t-shirts and bright colors. They had really big shikas hanging down very long. Prabhupada said, Gauri Vaishnava shika is an inch and a half across. No bigger shikas means another something long. And they had to be knotted. So I told everyone that they came back all bright and shiny with saffron shirts and proper shikas. Govinda Dasa. Prabhupada stayed at a big house on the Makapu side of a house, right on the ocean. A very pleasant place. In the morning, Prabhupada would walk on the beach. And when he would return from his walk, he would sit down on a wooden bench on a little rock patio. We would all sit around and he would give a little morning lecture. Later, he would walk around and around in his room, chanting. One evening, I went in a while. He was chanting. 1 second, please. That's must be over. One evening, I went in a while. He was chanting and he said, 16 rounds finished today. And I said, yes, really so the thought. I'm on my 16th round now. He said, that is good. Prabhupada was also thinking a lot about his Bombay center. And he asked me to do an architectural rendering of his idea for the Bombay buildings. Fortunately, an architect friend drew it up very nicely and Prabhupada was pleased with it. Prabhupada had received a letter from the French disciple Mandatini Devi Dasi, who was going to join the Russian in the Soviet Union. He was going to marry him and assist him in propagating Krishna consciousness. When Prabhupada read this letter, he smiled in ecstasy. The thought of the Krishna consciousness movement increasing in Russia gave him great joy. Then he turned to Govinda Dasi and said, "Preach while you are young. When you are old, retire to Vrindavan and chant Hare Krishna. Therefore, these centers in India are being built. But you cannot retire unless you have preached sufficiently. The mind will actually. If you have preached, you can retire and chant Hare Krishna. So preach as much as possible."
Very important message. Okay, when you are young, you preach, and when you retire, go to Vrindavan and chant. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay. Okay, I will lead. Everyone has done your part. Okay. Although sometimes Prabhupada could spend only a day or even only a moment with an individual devotee, that brief association would leave a permanent inspiration. The devotee would realize that although Prabhupada had touched them and given them guidance in a way that made these the most important moments in their lives. Prabhupada was also beyond the moment and the place that he shared with them and was contemplating deeper issue and praying to Krishna with the intensity that they could not yet understand. Prabhupada received a letter in Hawaii from Giriraja that made him doubt his Bombay's manager abilities to deal with a clever mystery. Giriraja had reported a matter of factly that he had just paid 7,500 rupees to Mr. N. And Prabhupada wrote back, on what amount, on what account is that paid? Giriraja had intended that it will be installments towards the agreed 2 lakh per year that they were supposed to pay to Mr. N after they had received the deed. But why should they be unnecessarily paying to Mr. N since they still had no deed? Prabhupada began to worry about his directional and time and time again, thinking drawn to Bombay, Vrindavan and Mayapur. But he did not talk much about the problems. Rather, the devotees and non-devotees in each place visited God full blessings of his attention. But lecturing of Srimad Bhagavatam was in full concentration, and when he spoke privately, cultivating a guest or guiding an individual disciple, he fully gave himself. That he took responsibility for many persons and worldwide matters, and did it also so graciously, always appearing before his devotees each morning on a walk or in the temple as fresh as morning blossoming lotus flowers. Lotus flowers was the expert nature of his devotional service to Krishna. He was open and simple with a motive so pure that anyone could see it. And yet, he was also grave beyond anyone's vision. He served Krishna simply in each time and place, whether riding the hotel elevator with his 2 disciples in Hong Kong or curiously nothing on the details of Japanese culture or walking on the beach beneath of heaven sky, Hawaiian sky. అంటే ఎక్కడున్నా సరే his mind is filled with Krishna. Doesn't matter where he is అని చెప్తున్నారు అన్నమాట మనకి. హరే కృష్ణ. సో వండర్ఫుల్. ఇది ఇక్కడ లాస్ ఏంజల్స్ నుంచి మే 18 ఇది నెక్స్ట్ డే వైపు నుంచి అవుతాం. ఎందుకంటే ఒక లాజికల్ పాయింట్ అయిపోయింది ఇప్పుడు ఈరోజు మనకి. హరే కృష్ణ. ఎనీవన్ లెఫ్ట్ అవుట్ ఐ థింక్ ఎవ్రీబడి హ్యాస్ ద రైట్. Okay, I think we'll end the call here. Thank you very much for joining today's Zoom call. Okay, thank you for the opportunity. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनन्तकोटिवैष्णववृन्द की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining. I'll end the call here.
Great.
Thank you. Let's see tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Mataji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.